Sorry, I feel like I've been running a little bit and just kind of had to adjust the heater and all that. So I kind of came running to my chair. Okay, I'll be all situated here in a second. For those who watch later. Welcome. Hey, Big Tender. How are you? Robert Nasawa. Oh. Oops, hold on. Is this any better, Wookie? Hey, Six String. All right, so I've been making some new friends lately. No, it's not, huh? Okay, hold on. How is it for everyone else? Is my sound okay for everyone else? Or am I having issues? Oh, let me try something else too. Okay, let me work on that. Let me fix that. It might be because I had a few things open. Is it good? Okay. Yeah, I tend to be terrible about closing down windows on my computer. So I can have an outrageous amount of windows open at all times. So when I'm on StreamYard, though, it seems like if I close it down, or if I close everything down, it does better. So, okay, so this is going to probably be a little bit of a different stream because we have so many new people in here. And I do know that there's a lot of networking going on as well. So that's awesome. Check each other out. And I say visit, visit each other's channels. I've got a couple of friends too that I'll put links in later. I don't know that they'll be able to be on, but they're good ones. We have a friend who plays a shovel like a guitar. Crazy stuff, right? And he's got a gold mining claim that he works with. It's really interesting, and he does some gardening and all that. He's just into lots of stuff and just really interesting. Another friend who is just hilarious, loves to talk politics, but is hilarious when he does it. So I'll be getting those. Links dropped in here in a little bit, but today's topics. So why care about politics? Emotional versus logical decision making, and then we're going to just look a little bit at the Constitution. So so I love to open this stuff up to others. Why care about politics? Do you care about politics? I mean, I have a lot of, we have new voices in here. So do you care about politics at all? I've heard everything from, people who are Christians who believe that really politics is is not important, that God has it all taken care of, and so it's not that important to be worrying about it, you know, on earth. I have people who I know people who, aren't Christians, and they don't think it's important simply because it doesn't apply to their everyday lives. That's the reasoning that they give. Um, so, for you, do you care? And if so, why? Why do you think it's important um, to follow politics? And six string, you're saying Justin guitar. Is that, I don't know anything about it. I just enjoy watching others who have musical talent because I do not. Um, and so I enjoy watching others. So I don't know when you say Justin guitar, um, is that what they call a shovel guitar, or are you saying that there's a specific guitar that you play? I'm sorry for my ignorance. Um, yes, Wookie. We can sometimes we find our other voices, right? And get to get to talk politics together. Um, I Okay. Six string is saying we the people need to care, and I'll throw that up there. Even the Bible says to pray for your leaders, right? Yeah. I mean, I think I'll kind of address it, and keep commenting, please. But I'll kind of address it on all levels. For Christians, and I'm a Christian. I don't. It's not something I hammer a whole lot on this channel, but it's just part of who I am, and so it definitely comes out in what I talk about. Oh, Justin is the guy. Oh, is there another guy that? Okay, my guy is front yard gardening with Robert Wallace. Um, so yes, Heidi. um, so I hadn't heard of Justin Guitar. That's cool. Again, love when I can just enjoy people's musical talents. um, so yeah. So again, I don't, I don't necessarily hammer Christianity or my faith on the channel, but it is part of me, and so it just kind of naturally comes out throughout. Um, but I from that perspective, if you look at Paul, if you look at the apostles, you can look at the fact that with Paul saying, press on toward the goal, right? Press on. I don't think that um, you become a Christian or, whatever, and just kind of lay down and decide, okay, I'm done, I'm checking out. So, uh, I believe that we need to be in the fight. Um, I look at things like the end times and, hey, James, and what is talked about in the Bible. And one of the ways that we're going to get there um, is through culture and politics. And so um, I believe that, um, hey, Red Pill, so I believe that it's important in that regard. For those who are not, um, okay, so Wookie says, okay, I might say this wrong, apatheistic, meaning like you don't really care. Is that like apathy? Um, you said you're an atheist, but don't really want to argue at it. No, absolutely. You guys, I love discussion. I love debate. I love all of that. As long as we're doing it respectfully, that's what I believe that we need to do more of. Um, in our society. Um, the exchange of ideas, uh, learning from one another, I think is great. I mean, I'm not saying that you're going to change my mind, but I'm absolutely willing to hear what you're saying and to research. There are many times where I just really need to research more. Um, for those who are not Christians, because like I said, I have friends too who it's not about a faith issue for them. They just don't believe that it matters in their everyday life. They don't believe that it affects them, and uh, I just don't see that. you know, um, because really, depending. I mean, you can start with something as minimal as a large or a small government, right? And Um, Wookie, I appreciate that. And the larger the government, the more involvement, the more effect that it does have on your life. And so, if nothing else, um, if nothing else, even caring about the size of government, right? Um, because if you want them to um, not have that big of an effect in your life, then the government needs to be, um, the government needs to be smaller, and it needs to, that way it will be out of your life a little bit more. Um, okay, I'll just try to share some of these. Um, yeah, and when the government is involved in our lives, it can be anything from the cost of the groceries that we purchase. I mean, that's an everyday thing. We all purchase them. It can be about the uh, taxes that are involved. It can be about regulations that are put on, um, even as much as and thank you, Red Pill. Even as much as um, regulations put on the trucking industry, for example. Um, our our groceries have to get to the grocery store in some way. Um, it can be about yes, Benny, I do agree with that. Um, it can be about uh, what you can and cannot do or what rights you have in regard to your own children. Sixth string is talking about being vigilant for the sake of our kids. And I absolutely agree with that. And a big question mark when it comes to that is what rights we have in regard to our kids, because um, when government is involved, your rights as a parent can be actually taken away. Um, we have we have well, let's see. I've recently the vaccination debate has been an issue, right? And the choices that parents have for their children. Um, that's a government issue. Um, what your kids are taught in school. I, for those who haven't seen, I did a series on pedophilia and the normalization of it, systematic normalization of it in our society, our culture, but more our world. And it's being taught in some schools. And the reason they give for that is because um, they're taking a historical look at sexuality and sexual roles. And so, for that purpose, they're introducing it to school kids. Um, you can have let's see, a representative out of the state of Idaho, if I remember correctly, was right, Wookie, um, was talking about how a school board can get a sex ed program curriculum approved, where parents have the opportunity to speak into it and they can get it approved. But then the school can invite a third party guest into the school, whoever it might be, and that third party guest does not have to abide the uh, by the curriculum, the pre-approved curriculum. So even though you as a parent believe that you know what's going on in the school, um, they you might actually not, because what you thought was approved may not be the final um, the final product of what the kids are hearing. So I think being vigilant is absolutely the right verbiage to use. But so all of these things, right? We've got Benny, sorry, um, thanking Red Pill for his service. And Benny, were you in the service as well? um, because and here's the thing. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a military brat. I grew up as a military brat, and I have a great amount of respect for our servicemen and women and for our country and our rights and all that. But again, what happens with our men and women, with our Marines and our soldiers and our sailors, and our airmen? Um, what happens with them and their lives being put on the line? That's a government issue too. Um, if we care about people, or what about when they come home and how they're taken care of? The issues with, hey KK, the issues that we have had with the VA in the past, and our own um, veterans receiving horrible service. Um, should we not care about that? Should we not want to speak into that? Should we not want to make sure that the people who are representing us, um, oh, and principalities, red pill, yeah. Um, I can't remember the reference on that, but shouldn't we want to speak into that? Shouldn't we want to have a say in regard to those people who are representing us, and those people who are making the decisions about what happened to our veterans, um, what happens in our schools, what happens with our tax money. Um, you know, um, they say, and actually, they say that I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Um, is that from? I want to say Romans, but I could be wrong on that, KK. I feel like it's not Romans. um, yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. That's what happens sometimes when I look at the chat, and my brain goes off in another direction. Um, but Ephesians 6:12. But we should be. Okay. So I remember what it was. So one of the things that they say is a small business owner, for example, small business owners are much more um, are much more um, at least fiscally conservative. Um, that they Because as a small business owner, uh, and they're actually writing the check quarterly, right? So they might write a check for $12,000 for their taxes, or $30,000 for their taxes, or whatever, versus someone who is an employee, where taxes and all that get taken right out of your check. And so a lot of times when we get our check, we're just looking at the bottom line, right? What is it? Um, until we realize, or if you've seen a kid who started working for the first time when they're 16 or whatever, and they get their first check, and they have kind of calculated based on the hours that they work and what they're being paid hourly, what they think they're going to receive, and they get their check and they're like, oh, wait a minute, what happened here? And that's their first lesson in taxes and government. And so um, that is something to pay attention to as well, right? Because that does have a great impact on our everyday lives. Um, okay, let me come here. No, Benny said Colonel Robin Olds from 1967 in the U.S. Air Force in the Vietnam War and has a great book out and bought it. Very cool. All right, Colonel Robin Olds. Awesome. I was gonna say, um, that caught my eye, and I'm like, what? I don't think so. Not from what I've seen, Red Pill. Oh, hey, Sith Lord. Hey, thank you. Um, okay, so does anyone else, I mean, I've been talking for a little bit about why I believe that politics matter, why I believe it's important for us to care about politics. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share on that? Or I can also um, invite you into the stream. I have more that we're going to talk about, but there you go. And yes, hi, Tommy. And I need to, Dee, I think you're my only moderator. Um, I think so, uh, because I don't know from StreamYard how to make other people moderators either. Can you possibly put the link in chat for the Bill Show, which if you Google it or if you look on YouTube, it's BILLMICH is what you have to search for. Um, and then for Front Yard Gardening with Robert Wallace and KK's stream. Oh, Joe is the mod. Okay. Okay. Well, then let's see. Maybe we could just put their names. Maybe James and KK and D. Maybe if you guys and Robert, and if you guys want to put the names of our friends in there that aren't here right now, and we can share that. Like I said, we've got some really interesting friends who are, one plays the shovel like a guitar, um, has a gold claim, does all sorts of fun, interesting stuff. Another one has just a great sense of humor and is really awesome just in kind of expressing his political thoughts if you're into that. But he's also hilarious. He says he has some really great impressions. The only impression I do is the "I'll get you, my pretty, pretty." That's as good as it gets. So he's got some great ones. um, oh, okay, okay. So maybe I'll do that. So red pill. Yeah. So if you guys are in the stream, then you can click on each other and bring up each other's channels and subscribe in that way. But um, if you are for those who aren't here, there's a couple I know who aren't here. That would be great. We do have the situation I talked about last night, where we're dealing with some new YouTube regulations coming January 1st, and so in order to go live, you need 1,000. And so, if we can help each other, then that's awesome. An A&P mechanic that did work on helicopters and business jets in real life, and I was a beanie in the jets. Okay. um, that's awesome. My dad in the military, he worked on airplanes. He was an airplane mechanic, so I will get it wrong, but C 140s and 141s, I think. And oh, Headless. Hey, Headless. So we were just talking about, and Headless posts some great videos of the adventures and the things that he sees. So we were just talking about why care about politics. Why is it important? Why does it matter to my everyday life? Does it matter to my everyday life? Um, and then we're going to be um, talking a little bit more about. Okay, I'm just posting these in case anyone wants to join. Um, so if you have more thoughts on that and why, if you want to make an argument for why you think that people should or should not pay attention to politics, throw it in there. Feel free. Um, you're welcome to do so, and you're invited to do so, not just welcome to do so. We love hearing from everyone. All right. So while I do this, I'm going to follow Sith Lord's um, suggestion and pop out to my YouTube channel to do that. But while I do that, um, the next thing, one of the things that I see a lot in our culture today is that a lot of oh, Benny, North Carolina, we got another North Carolina um, guy in here, at least from North Carolina. But in our culture today, we have a lot of making decisions based purely on emotions, and we seem to have forgotten logic. That's actually my profile on Twitter. That's kind of what I talk about. you know, we seem to have forgotten how to use logical thinking in making decisions, and everything is based on emotions. And with that, we are very open to emotional manipulation. Um, so be thinking about that. I'm going to pop over here and get, um, try to make, okay, you know what? Actually, Sith Lord, you told me to pop over there, but I'm so new at this. I'm not sure where when I pop over there. Oh, do I go into, oh, I have an idea. Okay, here's what I'll do. I think be patient with me. I'm sorry, have grace, because this is, I'm new at some of this. So not so new at talking. I seem to be able to talk a lot, but yes, KK, that is my understanding. And there are some great channels out there that are helping with networking um, to to help people. I mean, that's where all these great new names have come from. These great new friends have come from. I've been spending some time this weekend meeting people and um, uh, you know, helping others out as well. So yeah, by January 1st, that new little wonderful rule is coming into place. So okay, all right. So talk amongst yourselves for a second. I'm going to um, try to figure this out. Hmm. Okay, I might be getting a little trigger happy here, but it's all good. Now that you taught me how to do it, Sith Lord, I'm just going a little crazy. All right. Oh, KK has some um, some great videos. She's got this squirrel. Well, she actually has an entire squirrel. I'm pretty sure it's a squirrel colony. I don't even think it's a squirrel family. I think it's a squirrel colony that lives in that tree. One of them is Georgie. I don't know if you can come up with enough names for the rest of them. Smurfy? What's Smurfy? Am I? Oh, oh, hey, Sith Lord. Okay, hold on. Hey, Sith Lord.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm not bad. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna
No, I
try to.
just I just popped in to try to give you a little technical help if at all possible.
Oh, I appreciate that. I did finally. Well, what I ended up doing is I ended up going on my phone um, into the stream and making some people mods because I didn't.
Well,
Uh,
well, what I was trying to direct you to do is physically go to your stream on YouTube,
okay.
and when the stream pops up in the top right corner, you see the three little dots.
Okay. Hold on. Let me get there. I'm a little bit slower at it. Hang on.
No, that's fine. Take your time. Take your time. And once you know how to do it, you'll be like, oh wow.
Ooh, that's funny. I'm seeing myself. Okay, so three little dots. Oh yes, I see them.
Okay, you click on it, you'll see pop out chat.
Oh, okay. Um, Pop out chat. Okay.
Right, and then when you're done doing that, close
Oh
the
wow.
YouTube window out.
Ah.
Not your stream window, but your YouTube window, and then just resize it to the side where where you are or your guests are, and it's right there. You've got your YouTube chat. You can now, in order to highlight comments, you have to be in your StreamYard chat, just like you've been doing. But
Okay.
if you want to assign your moderators, that's how you do that.
Ha. Nice. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Um, okay, one more question for you while you're here.
Sure, ask as many as, and I'll answer as many as I can.
Is there a way for me to actually pull up a list of the subscribers?
Not the subscribers, no, but in the
Okay.
same top corner of the chat, the three buttons,
Yes.
the best thing you can do is click on it. And the first thing you should see in that list is participants.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
that's everybody that's active in the chat. And if they're in the chat and they haven't said anything for a while, they won't appear. But as
Okay.
long as the chat is constantly rolling, you'll get to see everybody that's in the chat.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Now, as far as your physical subscribers, I'm
Yeah.
still a little new at that because I'm more of a support piece. I have a channel, but I don't put up content, but I do participate in other people's live streams.
Hmm.
Uh, so I really don't know how to look at stuff like that as far as YouTube goes. Your analytics and your subscribers and all that stuff. I'm really not sure about all that. All I know is about live streams and what's going on in the chat and how to do things with that.
Okay. No, very
So
cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, any thoughts on politics from you?
no, ma'am. I am very anti-political. I
Okay.
pretty much live under a rock. Pretty much, I live. If it don't affect me, it don't. I don't worry with it.
Right.
Basically, I just stay away from it. I do have one problem, but
Hmm.
I don't know if it's a political problem or not.
Okay, what's that?
I'm I'm a 47 disabled man,
Hmm.
but I don't receive disability. I receive SSI. Now,
Okay.
when I received the second denial letter, meaning went through the paces, went to court, had my court date, got denied, reapplied again for disability, and it happened a lot quicker this time. I got the denial letter, but then I got a phone call from or a letter from Social Security saying, hey, they wanted to meet with me. So okay, I went and met with them,
Hmm.
and we talked, and they're like, well, didn't you get our letters and stuff? They were trying to get me in for an appointment to talk. I was like, well, no, I didn't get none of your letters, but I did get the denial letter again.
Right.
And they go, yes, sir, you were denied disability, but you were approved for SSI. I'm like, okay, cool. At least I'll start getting an income.
Something. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then when I get the welcome letter, basically the welcome package from Social Security, in the first paragraph, it says they classified me as disabled.
But you don't qualify for
I,
disability.
I don't get disability. I'm like, what the what?
Yeah.
You know, this happened. This happened over a year ago. This happened. No, 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 no. This week was a year ago when I went through this. Last year, last October, and it still to this day boggles my brain. Okay, if you're
Okay.
gonna if you're classifying me as disabled, then give me my money.
So I actually know very little about this, but Headless Horseman in the chat is saying it depends on work credits. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know enough about that, but maybe.
Right. I understand all that, but the last day I worked was in July of 2014,
So you have a lot of work
and
credits under your belt.
yeah. I haven't worked steady all my life, but I've worked
Hmm.
all my life. If that makes sense. In other words, I've always
Okay.
had a
Right.
job, but not the same job.
Right.
Uh, and when I applied for disability the second time, it was July of 2000. Yeah, it was July of last year when I applied the second time,
Hmm.
and it was rather odd because, like I said, I got the first denial rather quickly compared to the first go around. The first go around was almost 4 years,
Yeah.
uh, and trying to get my thoughts straight here. It's been a while since I've talked about this.
Oh yeah. No. No worries.
Uh,
I'm trying to get my thoughts straight on a regular basis. That's just.
we got to do what we got to do, right?
Yeah.
Um, but when I applied again in July, when they went back and looked, they used the same records as the prior application instead of all the new stuff that was wrong with me.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
because they didn't go past May
Hi, Red
of
Pill.
2017, and by this time, when I applied last year, I recently got out of the hospital. I found out I'm suffering from congestive heart failure, so that was added into it.
Yeah.
Plus all the other stuff. I'm diabetic. I got kidney problems, and just all that stuff. But the fact they didn't go past May of 2017 is what they based their decision on. And my own lawyer told me that.
So
She
you do
goes,
have an attorney
yeah.
for it.
She goes. Well, you could file for another appeal, but you're just going to get denied again because they're basing it off the same records,
Hmm.
not what's going on now, but what. I'm like, come on, get out of here.
So can she do something to force that or to appeal that so that it, no.
No.
Sorry.
And even if I went through the processes again, in other words, file the appeal, get denied, appeal denied, and then go before the court, if they deny me again, it's the same thing. and then after
Mm.
that, after the now I don't know if it's the same statewide or nationwide. I'm in Florida.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if the rules apply all through the U.S. But after the denial and the court hearing, it then becomes a federal case.
Okay.
And then with disability, there's a like I said, I don't know if it's statewide or nationwide.
Mhm.
Uh, by our laws, they can't take no more than 25% or max $6,000 of the back pay.
Okay.
So, all right. So, but when it turns into a federal case, I'm responsible for it all the
Oh.
lawyers' fees and court costs and stuff like that. And you could tell me I'm getting 50, $60,000, but then when I have to pay out half of it in lawyers' fees, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still a little bit of a chunk of change, but still I could be getting more if
Right.
they went ahead and just dealt with it.
Right. No, absolutely. Well, and
That
and I mean, I think that a lot of governmental agencies, I mean, this is what I have seen, and I think honestly, I think it depends on the individual person, because there are individuals who work in governmental agencies who really do desire to be helpful, and there are some that that's not necessarily the case. I don't know that they're there to specifically not be helpful, but they just don't have a heart of helping, you know?
right.
And I think that some of the policies put in place in some of the agencies really lend themselves toward not being helpful, right? And toward putting roadblocks in the way. I was just going to catch up here on the chat. Robert Nizawa said
No, go
his
ahead.
father
Go
and
ahead.
his comrades from Vietnam era had to go through some hell with the VA to get their benefits after many denials. Their PTSD nearly kicked in a bad way. He said most that vets my father encouraged ended up getting their most of the vets that my father encouraged ended up getting their 100%. And Dee was just saying she's sorry for your situation. Robert said, "My father would tell you to keep it up, bro." See, aren't these people wonderful? I just
Oh
love
yeah,
them.
everybody. I've been on YouTube for a couple years, but within the last year, because of you know, I'm dying of boredom here. I ain't worried about what's wrong with me at all. You know, something's going to kill everybody, and that's the way I see it. We're all going to die. I don't mean to talk
Right,
grim like that, but it's the truth. It's nature. We're all going to go. It's just depending on when, where, and how. And how.
right. Yeah.
Um, I'm dying of boredom, so I got onto
Hmm.
YouTube and I started meeting these wonderful groups of people, and able to be able to now come on live chats or live stream, excuse me, and be able to talk to people. To me, it's not about making content. To me, it's about making friends,
Right.
regardless of our religious beliefs, political beliefs, entertainment likes and dislikes. Because
Hmm.
the big the big war out there with our entertainment going on right now. That don't matter to me. I'm here to make friends.
Right. Well, and I think what you're saying, that's the thing is we should be able to, even if we have those differences, even if we have religious differences or faith differences, or even if we have political differences, to be able to have a conversation and not to get um, I mean, I can get passionate, don't get me wrong. Okay, I get passionate about the things I believe, but um, but not angry, not personally offended, right? Where I'm going after, I'm attacking the person that I'm speaking with, right?
Right,
Um,
right,
I can attack policies or kids or ideas all day long, but that's not there's no reason why. we shouldn't be able to shake hands and sit and eat dinner together afterwards, you know? And
Right.
unfortunately, that's why I think a lot of people who don't like politics, or don't want to talk about religion or politics is because they've had those bad experiences with people who, um, are out for blood, you know, and you can't have a civil, enjoyable conversation, um, and you can't walk away friends, So that's why, that there are all those, there are all of those, uh, workplaces or schools or whatever, where they say, oh yeah, even in families, right? Oh yeah, we have Thanksgiving dinner, but no politics or religion, right? Because even
Well,
as family, we can't get along and discuss
I,
these things.
I'm Christian, by up from I'm from a Christian upbringing and
Hmm.
Christian belief, and but I don't preach it out. I don't talk
Hmm.
about others, even though I've got an older brother. He's a truck driver. I call him the traveling preacher because he witnesses to everybody he sees. He talks about the Lord to everybody he comes across,
Hmm.
and to his brother and sisters, he does it all the time. We find it rather annoying because
Mm.
we feel like he don't know when to let up. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, bro, we got the point. We got it. Thank you. You
Yeah.
know, but he knows nothing else. I don't hold it against him, but it, I just had a stream yesterday with Continuum Trek, and
Hmm.
the point of the live stream was that we have a Star Trek fan and a Star Wars fan
Yeah.
coming together having a civil discussion.
Yeah. I saw a lot of
Talking of
those this weekend.
you know it's and that was my whole point about it. I'm like, why are we so divided in the things that we love and we like that we still can't get along?
Right.
For one, well, what the point I was trying to get across on that live stream was, ladies and gentlemen, it's entertainment. There is
Hmm.
no reason why we should be getting so upset about our entertainment. It's meant to be, let's escape life for 45 minutes to an hour or a couple hours when you go
Right.
to the theater. That's how we escape. But everybody's picking it apart so much. The sexual preferences. Oh, you got this gay superhero. You got this bi person over here. I'm like, why does it matter?
Right. Why does yeah. I mean, we're talking
This
superheroes.
ain't
That shouldn't
yeah,
even.
this ain't real life. Why y'all getting all so upset about it? You know?
Well,
And
and
that's my feeling on it. To me it's entertainment. If you like it, you like it. If you love it, you love it. If you hate it, you hate it. Great.
right.
But that shouldn't I Mel, I don't know you from Adam. This is the first time I've seen you, first
Yeah.
time I've talked to you. You know, you seem like a very pleasant person to me. You know, we may have political differences because I'm not political at all.
Right.
But that don't mean we shouldn't be able to get along.
Right. I totally agree. And to what you were saying, excuse me, about your brother. I mean, I understand his point in that, um, he desires to, um, share something that he thinks is very people's eternity. So I commend him for that. I also see your side though, where sometimes we have to be careful and we really have to, um, excuse me, we have to be cognizant of where someone else is. And if you're going to like constantly hammer them over the head, after a while it's like, yeah, can we just talk about the weather? Or can we just talk about, you know, the latest TV show or something? There's
Well,
a
I
there's
do
a
that. I do that to him because I used to be a courier. I
Mhm.
worked for a little company called DHL.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know them.
So, I've drove delivery vans. I've drove 26-foot box trucks, so uh, I know somewhat what he's doing. And, so when he starts getting on those tangents, then I'll just like, so where you at? You know,
Yeah, Yeah.
Where's your pickup? Where's your delivery? I'll purposely deflect the conversation.
Right.
Not because I don't want to hear it. It's just I've heard enough of it.
Right. Yeah.
I
And
listen.
that's,
I listen to Bible. I listen to my Bible every night before I go to sleep.
mhm.
I do my own things. I've got my own rituals. I don't go to church. I don't fellowship with other Christians, and he gets on to me for that. But I still have my own beliefs in the way I do things. I'm like, bro, I got it, man. All right, I ain't
Mhm.
perfect yet, but I'll never will be. But I'm getting there.
None of us are. None of
Yeah,
us are, you
yeah.
know.
Because I'm gonna ask you a question, a personal question. I don't want you to take it the way it's going to sound.
Okay.
Um, well, normally when a man asks a woman this, there's motive behind it, and I do have
Okay.
motive, but not the one you think.
Okay.
Are Do you have children? Are you married, single, divorced?
Yes, I have a family. Yes.
Okay, all right. Now, do you sit down at the dinner table and discuss politics with them?
Yes. Not, I mean, not every night, but I'm a homeschooling mom, and
Hmm.
so um, we kind of talk about stuff all the time and whenever, and it pops up, and we're big into discussions around here.
Okay. Well,
I mean, not just
well,
that topic, but
are,
others as
are,
well.
are are the children old enough to understand it?
Yes. Yeah, they
Okay,
are.
because conversations like that are not meant to me. To me, this is me. I'm not trying to tell you how to. I'm not trying to tell you how to raise your children or not. But conversations like that I don't believe are like 10, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, stuff like that. They're old
Yeah.
enough to understand it.
Mhm.
Okay.
I
Well, see,
I
that's a
think,
good thing.
yeah, no, I actually I was talking the other night in another chat and saying by next year's presidential election I'll have two additional voters in my house than I had the first um Trump election. Um so yeah, my kids are old
Okay.
enough, and I do when they were younger, when I did talk about stuff like that, it was if it was something I felt was really important that I wanted them to know, and to me, the age does matter. Their level of maturity does matter,
Hmm.
because I do believe that I don't believe in sugarcoating a bunch of stuff for my kids, but I also don't believe in taking their childhood away. I think that we should allow young kids, to be innocent. I think we should allow them to not know how scary, complex, and convoluted the world can be. Um,
Hmm.
so if there was something important that I felt like I wanted to talk to them about, I always broke it down. I didn't give them, the whole kit and caboodle about it. I broke it down,
Right.
and just gave it to something that gave them enough for where they were at. And some of
Okay.
that is
That's
actually
good. That's
cultural,
good.
right? Some of it's kind of introduced to your kids by culture, and you have to address that with them at that point, or prepare them for something that that they're going to run into. Um, so I did some of that.
And to me that sounds like the proper way of upbringing, proper upbringing, because let the children be children. Don't force all this on them at an early age, or through their childhood and teenage years. You know, let
Right,
them let them be a child. Let them be a teenager. Let them do the things they were meant to do, not force things down their throat at an early age. Like this gender equality thing, or
mm,
political stance, or religious stance, or when a religious well, no, that never mind. Religious stance, that's something you can start at an earlier age, but taking them to church, doing whatever, whatever it is,
right.
anybody that does. But you know
You're instilling
don't
your beliefs
don't
there, and yeah,
don't try to make an adult out of them too quick.
right.
Let them be a kid.
It's funny. I've been reading this book with my kids both my own kids, and then I also lead a class once a week of ninth graders, and I've been going through the book with them as well. That's called Things. And so, I kind of fall into this where I believe when they're younger, yeah, you really let them be children, let them have, um, uh, yes, DM, it's so good to see you too. Um, let them have their innocence. I don't think that we need to be talking to 5-year-olds about sexual preference and whether they enjoy touching themselves and whether they, explore their sexuality, especially when that's not even the parents doing that, when that's an outside party like the school doing that. Um,
Yep.
I'm like, no, they're 5-year-olds. Sexual, no, they're so innocent, and we try to put what we know as adults, our knowledge as adults, we try to put
Hmm.
that on kids. I there's a conversation that happened young moms, and I've seen some stuff recently in some articles about it. Just this idea of, like when you have a couple of kids are in the bathtub, or your kid is in the bathtub, and they um, are playing with their extra parts.
Right. I got you. I got you.
That's not, you know, moms, we can kind of go, oh my gosh, what is my kid doing? But that's because of what we know.
Right.
They don't know that. Um, they are innocent. And so we have to be really careful to not put our experience and our knowledge and lack of innocence onto their actions, right? So yes, I firmly believe in, letting them be babies, letting them be children and innocent. Um, and then the argument that the book Do Hard Things talks about, they're specifically talking to teenagers. And what they're really saying is, the idea of teenagers, that term even did not exist before, I believe, the 40s. I could have that date wrong. Um, and that teenagers, there was much more expected of teenagers in the past, and that we have come to this place where, yes, we keep kids innocent and all that, but then we also lack putting responsibilities on them as they do become older. And then, as adults, we have a society where we're struggling, um, with adults taking on responsibility or taking personal responsibility, or that kind of thing. And so there is also that piece of when do you start, putting more on them? We're raising them to be adults, and so we have got, at some point, we've got to. That doesn't happen overnight, right? It's not like, hey, you're 18. By the way, wake up to real life, right?
Right.
There is, some of that, but I agree. I also don't think that you need to bring your teenage kids into your marital issues, or you need to bring your teenage kids into your financial issues. I mean, yeah, as a family, you can throw together and say, hey, we need to just watch how much we're eating out, or watch what we're spending right now. That is something
Hmm.
I believe, you can do as a family. I don't think you need to go, oh my gosh, we're in this much debt, and we're gonna starve, or we're gonna lose the house. And it's like, holy cow, that's a
Yeah.
little much.
Kids don't need to know that.
Yeah,
To them, they just need to get up, go to school, do what they got to do, come home, and try to live as normal life as possible. Let the parents worry about the burden.
right. Yeah,
Is there? There's no reason to burden the children with it.
no,
That's
absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, so that brings me to my next topic, and I can put this also. um I haven't put it in a little bit. I'm going to put the link in here if anyone wants to join in the conversation as well. And I'm trying to kind of keep an eye also on the chat, in case in case you just want to put information in the chat. But uh the other, what I'd said was so often in society, we see people making decisions based on emotion alone
Hmm.
and not using logic. And what's interesting about that is when you base decisions on emotion, and I don't even think that a lot of times I don't know that they realize that that's what they're doing. But when you base decisions on emotion, I think that you believe that you are being very compassionate. Um, but I think what lacks in that is the following the logical line to the end result. What I so let's um, okay. I'm going to use a completely left field kind of example, but let's say you have a child who and let's say you have an adult child, a 19-year-old who you know I don't know, gets in a wreck or something. Or okay, I'll use, since I had new drivers recently, let's say I have a 15-year-old with a permit who is driving and they get in a wreck and I go, oh, hurry, let's switch spots, and I'll act like I
Right.
was driving.
Right.
So on one side, it might be compassionate in the sense that I don't want them to, because I knew it was an accident. I don't want them to lose their ability to, um, get their license before they're 18 or whatever. But on the other hand, if I follow that all the way out, what am I teaching them? Am I teaching them to um, be dishonest? Am I teaching them to not take on personal responsibility? Am I stealing other things from them? And so what I think is being compassionate in the end, is that truly being compassionate? Is that truly caring for them? Does that make sense? I mean, it's a very odd example that I'm using, but I think you can, how we address the homelessness issue, how we address oh, pregnancy is a massive issue. How we address joblessness or any of these issues, how we address the environment, how we all of those things. I think that so many um, times it's an emotional response, and it's feeling like feeling like you're being compassionate. But again, when you follow that through, when you keep thinking, um, where does this go, where does this lead, um, I think in the end, maybe it's not as compassionate as we think we're being. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's hard to be compassionate when you've got so many fake people out there. You speak
Right.
about homelessness,
Yes.
and I've heard you speak about. I've seen it in the chat. People talk about veterans and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Uh, it's so hard. I used to be able to read people pretty good, and I used to be really good at it. And but when you see somebody on a storefront or on a street corner or something holding a sign up, uh, it's hard to be compassionate when you don't know if it's legitimate or not. Because, ladies
Hmm.
and gentlemen, believe it or not, being pardon the word, this is the only way blunt way I know how to put it. Being a bum is a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Hmm.
Okay, several years ago, I came across this guy. He had looked like prison clothes on, which didn't make no sense because they're not going to release you with their stuff on.
Right.
But he come up to me, and I was young. I'm 47 now. I was like 18, 19 years old. Didn't know nothing. We were walking down the river. We got a place here called the Riverwalk,
Hmm.
and this guy come up. He
Are
goes,
you in
"Man,
San
they just
Antonio?
no, I'm in Florida."
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm
Sorry.
I'm down down here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
But it's he coming to me and goes, "Hey, listen, I just got out of jail, man. I'm trying to get home to see my family." I said, could you lend me some money, help me for like bus fare or whatnot?" So I give him $5. You know, I was like, "All right, man, here. I hope you get home."
Mm-hmm.
Now let's fast forward about a month and a half. Was downtown, same area. Saw a man in a three-piece suit get into a black BMW. It was the same man.
Mm-hmm. No, and I don't disagree with you. I absolutely think, and what
You
I
know,
meant
I've
by the compassion is that a lot of people will think that by giving in that moment, that that is the more compassionate thing. By providing, we were talking the other night on my stream about Ilhan Omar coming out with her housing for all bill, talking about giving providing housing, build using petrol dollars to provide housing for all, right? So to
right.
address the homelessness program or problem. But to what you're saying is that a lot of people think that by giving in that moment is the compassionate thing to do. And you're right, because we don't know the story behind that. If that person is really looking for money for something like drugs, then is it compassionate to give them money that helps further their addiction, helps further what's
Well,
actually keeping them on the streets?
well, if I have it to give, in any instance, if I have it to give, I'll never give them straight cash. You know, it's like,
Mm,
"Hey, could you help me out with something to eat? You know, some money for something to eat, or I need some help. I need to get some fuel." Well, where's your vehicle? I'll put fuel in your car,
right.
or let's go inside. I'll get you something to eat.
I'll give you
You
some
know,
groceries.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not. I'll never hand cash over again because,
Yeah.
you know, there ain't no telling what they're going to do with it. You know, because you can walk up to them and even if you're not a drinker or if you're a drinker, you can smell the alcohol 3 foot away. You know, I know where that money's going to be going to.
Right.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
it's like, come on, man, you want to go buy a fifth? Come on, I'll go buy you a fifth. But you know, I'm not going to give you. I ain't going to give you no money. You
Right.
know, just be
Yeah.
honest with me. You know,
Yeah.
be honest with me
Well, and there are
because
some out there. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no. I was just you know adding on to that. You know, if I'm gonna give you my undivided attention and my 100% honesty, that's the least you can do for me.
Right. Right. Well, and that's the thing too is there's been this uh thank you, Tommy. No, I appreciate it. There's been I have seen actually some that will hold, excuse me, and holding their sign up, he'll be like, I just want alcohol. It's like, well, at least they're being honest, right?
Right, right.
Um, but I do think, I mean, there are, and you have to be careful about this as well, but there are programs out there. You have to be careful about which programs are corrupt and which ones aren't. But there are programs out there that are set up to give in ways that they can some of that they can um, they can give in ways that won't necessarily, so you can give cash, but they can give in ways that won't necessarily um, increase the problem and increase the issue. um, we were talking the other night about if we're talking about the homelessness issue, and really the emotional versus logical, um, you can apply that to so many of our social and cultural issues right now. Um, but in regard to the homelessness issue we were talking about the other night, if you look at um, LA and San Francisco, Seattle are three of the biggest homeless population issues, problem cities. And you have to start looking at what policies. So this is where I know you're not in government or politics, but this is where I would say, that the politics do matter, because in that sense, there are certain policies or there are political agendas that are driving types of policies. And if we can look at those, if we can look at those cities whose not only homeless population are bad, but increasingly worse, then we need to start reviewing the policies to say, how did we get here? Yeah, great informer. Who you shouting out to? And so anyway, yeah, just politically paying attention to the policies and saying, okay, are those policies? We've been having these policies in place. Have we been having these policies in place for years now, and we've seen nothing good come out of them? Maybe we need to take a different tact, right? Maybe we need to go a different direction. So that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so the truth, hey, the truth. Stop giving things away and have ways for people to work for things. It will bring their self-respect up, and it will do it better, and it will do better for our social well-being. Yeah, so that's the thing. The truth is totally speaking truth. We've forgotten. We've forgotten what sense of accomplishment that it brings and the self-respect that it brings to actually work for and accomplish, right? And oh man, it's been years ago now, maybe 15 years ago, I worked for a family that had triplet sons, and they were in the first grade. And I remember that the three of them ended up coming home three different, well, they all had the same spelling list, but they had three different requirements or expectations of them. So one of them, their grade was based on how they did for all 20 words. One of them, it was based on how they did for, I think it was like 16 words, and then one of them, it was 12 words, right? And so and they were doing that out of, again, an idea of compassion, right? An idea, the emotional decisions, right? And they wanted the kids to feel better about themselves. And so, and instead of saying, hey, let's work harder, let's work to accomplish this great thing, then that will make them feel better. They decided to take those expectations down. They decided to and on different levels, right? And so they so it's really weird. And then you had the end result being these three brothers are looking at each other. They're all the same age. I mean, they're minutes apart, right? They're all the same age. They all go to the same school, and yet they have different expectations put on them. And they're looking, the one that had to get 20 right in order to get the same grade is looking at the others and going, why am I doing? Because if I don't try, then the expectations will be lowered for me, and I'll only have to work on 12 of these words instead of 20 of these words. And so with what you're saying is that, that's something that's being taught even at the, this was 15 years ago, and that was first grade for these kids. So very early on, they're learning, no, don't work harder. Thank you, great informer, and DM. Not only do they learn that they shouldn't be working harder, right? Because they'll get it for free, right? They'll get it easier. They'll, Robert Nozawa said, selective compassion, we all do it all the time. It's all we can do with what we have. Yeah, and that's the thing is we need to be cognizant. We need to be good stewards of our own, what we have worked for as well. And so where we're going to give, we need to be thoughtful and intentional about where we're giving. And and make as big of a long lasting impact, um, on people's lives with what we have. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it makes all the sense in the world.
Thank you,
You know,
DM. See you later.
even though I don't know a lot about it all.
Hmm.
Like I said, I pretty much keep myself under a rock. But the way you describe it, it makes all sense in the world. And I couldn't agree more. You know,
Yeah,
changes. I believe changes need to be made. Let's stop
right.
fighting and bickering over the smallest and most dumbest things.
Right.
And let's get back to what we used to be. America used to be a great country, and it still is a great country, but we're going downhill fast. We're arguing
Okay.
about all the left and rights, and what's in the middle, and what's in between, and how people present themselves, and how they act. And you know I've been saying this recently. um, History has always been wrote by the victors,
Right. Right.
and right now we're losing. Our history is getting erased little by little and replaced with a new history. You know, and our I'm not even going to say our recent history. I'm talking about our far past. There's some
Hmm.
terrible things that we have encountered. There's been terrible things that we have done, but we can learn from it. We can learn and learn from our mistakes and better ourselves. But we're not doing that. We're
Right.
trying to ruin each other every way, every which way we turn.
Hmm.
They've been trying to impeach. I'm not saying I'm neither for or against Trump. This is just what I've been paying attention to. They've been
Yep.
trying to get impeach that man since day one.
Right. Absolutely.
Come
Even as
on, give
right.
give the man a chance and let's see what he can do before you say, "Oh, there's problems here, there's problems there. Let's get him out of here. He's no
Hmm.
good."
No, you are so right. And for
It,
being apolitical, as you are for being under a rock, um,
right?
even being under a rock, you see that because it has been so overwhelming. He cannot take a step left or right without um, being hit with the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And does do as well is it takes, you know, we have an opportunity every 4 years to have our voices heard in regard to, the presidential election, right?
Hmm.
We have um, every two to, depending on, every 2 to 6 years for representatives um, and senators, right? And so um, to for us to have that vote and then to whether you vote for him or not, right? I mean, the next time around, it might be somebody else. When it was Obama, um, I didn't, you know, I mean, I would say Republicans or those who were not for Obama didn't continue to go after this, right? And if so, and really, okay, so what they have said, those who are pushing for impeachment now, there's video of them out there that of them in the same roles. They were senators, they were representatives back when Bill Clinton was going through impeachment and was impeached. And there's video of them talking about how it's a way of erasing the vote of the American people, right? The people voted this man in, and now by impeaching, you're trying to undo that vote. Excuse me. Well, those same people, those same
Excuse,
people who,
excuse me for a minute. Would you mind putting that link up in the chat again for
which link?
here, the StreamYard link?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I, because I'm about to switch devices,
Okay, yeah.
if you don't mind. Or I can just
There you
leave. It
go.
all depends if he wants to keep talking to me or not.
There you go. No, and anybody else can pop in too. Feel free. Love to chat. Love to discuss.
Okay. Well, give me a
Um,
second. I'll be right back.
okay. Yeah. But yeah, and really, when we make emotional decisions versus logical decisions, that's what we're talking about too. Because I want this guy, or because I don't want this guy, I'm going to emotionally, go after him. I'm going to try to impeach him for whatever reason, right? I mean, now I am not saying that there are not reasons that could exist for impeachment. Okay, don't get me wrong. It is something that was that is legal. Impeachment is legal. How they're going about it right now, I don't know that that's completely legal, or at least is um, that it is okay. Sith's volume was low. All right, try to talk now, Sith, and let's see how your volume is.
Can you hear me now?
How's that one, James?
And if it's still too low, I'll fix it even more.
You seem louder to me, but I didn't notice you being low before. But let's see what James says.
Yeah.
Okay, James is saying it's better.
All right.
Cool beans. But anyway, yeah, just again, this idea that we're going to impeach until we reach the place that something happens. And what I have said over the last couple of days is I don't actually think that they believe they're going to impeach. I think that they are doing this because they want enough in the news cycle where people who really aren't paying attention to what's going on to to believe, oh my goodness, if they're trying to impeach him for all these things, he must be really bad, right?
Right.
And so if that's all they're paying attention to, then man, this guy must be horrible because they're trying to impeach him for this and this, and oh, there's all this scandal and that scandal, when it may not actually be a scandal. They're just kind of making it up, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, if Trump comes clean from all this, doesn't it dirty their plates up? In other words, will people start looking at them wrong?
Well, see, and that's what a lot of people
or
say.
in the bad light? Should I'm not. I don't know quite how to word it, but
No, you're right. You're right, and that's what a lot of people say happened with Clinton. That it actually came out to be a positive for him. Excuse me. When he went through the process, and so a lot of people are telling the Democrats, "Hey, you might not want to do this." What I think is different now versus then is that the news media is even more on the side of Democrats and progressives. And so it's truly, I think what the Democrats are relying on in this case is what they, the messaging that they can get out. And so I don't think it's going to work for them, but I think that I believe that that's their thinking, that it will work for them. I believe it's their thinking that they can say something, right? And this goes back to, and I'm not trying to say that Democrats are Hitler or anything, right? But it does go back to the there's that Nazi not doctor that came out. Anyway, there's that quote out there that talks about if you say something enough, then it becomes truth, right? People will believe it. And so there is a piece, and you see that in political campaigns. You see that in when there's an incumbent, the incumbent has a better chance of winning simply because of name recognition, right? You wonder why there's those yard signs all over, with the political names on it, or the races, or why the people are on the corners. It's the more that a candidate can get their name out, the more name recognition that they have. If someone goes to, fill out their ballot or goes to the polls and they don't know to vote, if they don't know, they'll more likely vote for the person whose name recognition is the best.
Right.
And so it's just studies, right? If you say something enough, if you keep saying it, then people will believe it, right? And so I think that's what they're doing.
Well, like I said, I don't have a complete understanding of it, but something is telling me that them trying to get Trump out, all they're doing is lighting a fire under their own butt, because what they could be possibly doing, okay, say he walks away from this clean, well, guess what? They've almost guaranteed his reelection.
Oh yeah. And a lot of people are saying that. You are right. You're right on. A lot of people are saying that. Even people who, Democrats. That's actually why they have not brought it to an actual vote in the House to make it an official impeachment. The official impeachment process is because they won't get the votes to do so, because even their own people are like, whoa, dude, this is going to hurt. Let's hold on here.
Yep.
And even if they don't like Trump, some of them see it. They see that, just politically and strategically, this is not the best way for us to move forward. So we'll see. I mean, we have just under a year, and we'll see what happens. But I think you're right. All right. So let me. Okay.
Go ahead and keep going. I'm here for the entertainment.
I was just going to reference the chat and
Go
see
ahead.
if anyone else had anything that they wanted to add. I mean, we're hitting a lot on politics and stuff, and but even still, again, the emotional versus logical decisions, that can apply to all realms of life. I really, I think that the way that we have, excuse me, the way that we have approached our educational system, unfortunately, the way that we teach kids in schools now does not teach them how to learn something. It doesn't teach the skills of thinking. Our kids are really being encouraged to not think, which is really funny, because even in situations where there are teachers or teachers, when you get to the college level, even when the idea is be a free thinker, a lot of times what students run into is be a free thinker as long as you think within this box that we consider to be free thinking, right? And so that's, so you can say one thing, but what actually happens, what is actually being done, does not support what you're saying you believe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Because in a lot of ways, you try to explain it the way I try to explain things, and my friends and my family kind of get on to me about it from time to time. They go, just tell me, instead of giving, well, I got up this morning, I went and done this and went over here, and just tell me, in a good Southern way, you dumb it down to make it understandable.
Well, I mean, I guess, I mean, I'm not trying to dumb it down. It's not that maybe it's because I work with kids all the time that, I'm used to trying to break things down a little bit.
I never said that as a bad thing, because
Right.
there are I don't know about your subscribers or your watchers, but there are a lot of people out there that really don't understand politics the way that pardon the term, politicians think they should understand it.
Right.
They don't follow it, just like me. But the way you explain it makes it easier to understand for the
That's good.
uneducated.
Yeah.
For the
No,
uneducated.
that's awesome. And frankly, I don't think that politicians make it easier to understand, you
Well,
know.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think
You know, because you being a teacher of sorts, you help
Mhm.
break it down. You can break it down. You can make it to where old fogies like me that don't pay attention understand it. You know,
Wow,
it's
that's awesome.
you know. So you do a good job at what you do.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there, ladies and gentlemen of the chat. You know, if you don't know this woman, if you don't subscribe to this woman, do it. She knows what she's talking about. She's good at what she does. You know, hit that like button, share the stream out. You know, get other people involved. For a first impression, you got my mark.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Well, my first impression. I know you've been doing this a little bit, but you know, still. You know,
Yeah. Well, you know, like I said earlier, I think there's so much that we can learn from each other, and in fact, even like I said, you may not change my mind, right? Someone might not change my mind, but even being able to have a discussion, to being able to have a dialectic discussion with someone,
mhm.
it allows you to strengthen what you believe or allows you to change what you believe, right? Or to refine it.
Right.
Or even to be able to explain it better, right? The more that we discuss something, the more rhetorical, the more that we get in it, the better we can present it and explain it. So that's what I'm working on, you know. And a lot of times I trip over my words and whatever else, but that's just all the fun, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
So,
exactly it. That's exactly it.
it's awesome.
Ladies,
I appreciate your kind words, though. I really do.
they're not. Listen, I don't speak highly of a lot of people. Even though my circle expands, I don't know if you know what the Fandom Menace is. I'm not a part of it,
Hmm.
but I am just like anybody else. I am part of the fandom.
Yes. Okay, I
You
do
know,
get that terminology.
my inner circle. You know, I know some of these popular people, not so popular people. I like channels big and small. I like topics from entertainment. Uh, I'm not a political person, but it makes me want to check out your channel more often.
I
Uh,
appreciate
um, what's up, Brian? Glad you could join us. Gravedigger.
Yes. I just met
Uh,
Brian
he's a good guy. You know, you give him a
and
chance.
Chris, actually.
You give him a chance. He's a good guy. You're popular, bro. No, not as popular as I'd like to be, but then again, I don't want to be that popular because I don't need all the headaches. Meaning, oh my, I know people that go from stream to stream, and all they do is stream all day long. They sit in front of their computers, in front of their cameras, and this is what they do from stream to stream for hours upon end, and I'm not able to do that.
Yeah.
I like being on live streams, but it's
Well,
not something I want to do. It's not something I want to do every day, all day.
right, and it takes a lot of effort. I mean, like I said, I have been, because of the Great Informer and Sandra Ann, I've been you know, meeting a lot of people in the last couple of days, and it's kind of tiring. I mean, it's great, and boy, I've gotten to find all sorts of stuff, from music to cooking and baking channels to travel channels. I love to travel. So
Well, it sounds like you're rather from the way I'm hearing your words. It sounds like you're rather new to YouTube.
I am. I think maybe 3 weeks ago, or maybe something in the last, about the last month, I think, is I posted kind of a goofy video to begin with. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but
It's
a
okay.
silly video to begin with, because I had seen the packaging on a feminine hygiene product that had the female symbol on it. And
Right.
so I made a kind of a parody video on being offended at the fact that it was a female symbol. And, because, you know, women who identify as
I'm,
men, you know.
I'm sorry, that is actually funny, you know.
Well, and I thought it was as well until this last week when I saw the news that there actually was a trans, I don't know if you call him a trans man or a trans woman, the one who identifies as a man, but who actually had a YouTube campaign, not YouTube, a Twitter campaign with Always, who is the company that makes that brand, really saying, "Hey, why are you doing this? Because it's not just women who need these products." and so Always has now come out and said that in December they are getting rid of that gender symbol, the Venus symbol, on their packaging, and they'll have new packaging in January. And then what's really funny about that, what's sad funny, is that now you have feminists coming out and saying, but hey, wait a minute, you can't do that because then that's erasing the female gender and that erases everything we've fought for all these years. And so it's just a mess. So I thought it was funny, because it was just something I just saw and I thought, oh, ha, 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 and I just thought I'd be stupid for a minute and make this, make this video about it. And then I come to find out that no, it's actually something that has truly happened. And Always is changing their packaging for it. And I'm like, oh my word. It kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier. We don't have to nitpick everything. Honestly, if you are identifying as a man and you need that product, who cares? I mean, literally, you see the packaging for a half of a second before you rip it open and use it. So just get over it.
If you're buying this, ladies and gentlemen, if you're buying these products and you don't know what they're used for, don't buy them.
Yeah,
that's plain and simple. If you don't know what it's for, you have no business buying it. Really.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It just, I mean, it just goes to the fact that we just are we're looking for opportunities to be offended. And that gets nothing. That gets us nowhere as a society. That gets us nowhere in relationships. Just stop being offended, everybody.
Yeah, and being a middle-aged white man, I'm tired of waking up every day and feeling like I've done something wrong.
Right?
Right. I wake up every day feeling like crap. I'm like, all right, what did I do today?
Right. And you're being blamed for generations of and hundreds of years of things, and you're being blamed for things that you never thought in your wildest dreams that you would do yourself. You're being, blamed for thoughts that you haven't had. We were talking about that last night on the stream, that there are three segments in society that it's okay to discriminate against. Only three. They're Caucasian, men, and Christians. And, I mean, and let's not take this out of context, because there are some people listening that weren't in the stream last night. We were very much talking about race, and we were very much talking about how, and I appreciate you stopping by, and hopefully people got to jump on and check out Brian's stream as well. Oh yeah, straight. I'm sorry, Headless, I forgot straight. If you're a straight man, that's a problem as well.
Take care, Brian.
But we were talking about racism, and we were talking about the reality that, or how I was raised, which is you're just a person, and you're either, you know, a jerk as a black person or a jerk as a white person or a jerk as a male or a jerk as a female. It doesn't matter. You're a jerk or you're kind, you know, and it has nothing to do with your gender. It has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. It has nothing to do with your color, you know. It's who you choose to be and how you choose to treat people. And so so I kind of revisit that for a second because my words sounded horrible, right? For someone who hasn't been part of the conversation.
Right. No, I understand completely.
But-
Being all three of those descriptions, I understand completely.
Right. So yeah. Oh, I wanted to go back to Robert Nozawa. Robert Nozawa said, more respect for logical decision making rather than emotional. POTUS utilizes and acts on logic, and Dems are acting on emotion. Accept the presidency and work on the needs of our people. And that has been a very valid concern lately. Hey, Watchful Warrior, nice to see you. That has been a big concern lately. Is that with as much effort going into the impeachment inquiry, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are they actually doing besides impeachment, right? And so they were hired or you know, voted in, elected to work for the people, and the only thing that they have really been focusing on is the impeachment. So we're looking at 3 years now, right, at this point, and it's just been mainly impeachment, right?
Right.
So you know, their districts really have got to pay attention to what they want their representatives doing for them. Do they want them spending all their time on impeachment, or do they want them to actually pay attention to their issues going on in their districts? So thank you, James. You're doing great putting in all of the links to our friends' channels. So yeah, help out everybody. You know, one of the things that I have really gotten to see this weekend with getting to visit all of these different channels who are trying to help with networking and all that is that it's not about you know, it's not about necessarily agreeing with what the channel is doing or even having much of an interest in it. But for me, I just believe that people, you know, give them the platform. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time with gaming and stuff, but hey, Brian the Grave Digger, go for it, you know?
Right.
And if I can support him in doing that by just, you know, following him, then great, you know, go do it. So that's my thought. So if we can support others in that way, even if you're not interested in their channel, you know, in their content, then it's a great thing to.
And might I suggest you were over at Moira's channel, checking that out. There was a nice young lady in there. She's disabled as well, but she's got a wonderful eye. Rosetta Allen.
Yeah, I visited her channel. What what was on her channel? What was her channel about?
No, we basically with Rosetta, it could be anywhere from wonderful pictures because, like I said, she's got an eye. She's really good with a camera. She does some good artwork, some good. She makes jewelry, and right now she's working on some. I'm trying to remember. She'll kill me if I don't get it right. Bison bones, shoulder bone, some kind of shoulder bone. She's painting them up. She does artwork that way.
Oh, that's cool.
Because she's of African American descent. Not
Mhm.
African American. Not African American. My God, I just called her black. American Indian.
Oh, okay.
American Indian. She has a lot of knowledge on the reservations.
Mhm.
She knows a lot about the artwork, a lot of lore, because both her parents are Indian or Native American. But that's the main thing of her channel is her artwork. But with that being said, we also get on there and we just cause utter chaos. We like to just to BS around, and you know, we poke at one another, we poke at the chat. What we call harmless teasing and fun and playfulness.
Mhm.
She's a really good woman. She's good at what she does. I highly recommend her. Anybody that loves artwork. Moira is just whatever.
Mhm.
You know, music, conversation, movie reviews, whatever. She's great. You know, Brian the Gravedigger, he does a lot of gaming. There's others out there, the larger channels. Mary Mayhem, if you've ever heard the name.
I don't know that I saw her this weekend.
Yeah, she does movie reviews. She has a shooting star stream every Friday night.
Mhm.
It's like a one and done thing. If you don't watch it, then you miss it. It's like improv, comedy, stuff like that. There's quite a few others out there. You know, there's just too many to name, but
Right.
those are the people that I can say I physically know. I've talked to a couple of them. I actually have their phone numbers. They're great
Mhm.
people. So you know, I recommend them all. You know, anybody that I just mentioned. Uh, if you like artwork, I really suggest Rosetta. She was talking about maybe doing a stream later on this evening. Maybe not. Who knows? Sometimes, you know, she's real unsure. She does one-on-one interviews with some of the up-and-comers and some of the popular ones.
Mhm.
She's done one for Tom Connors on which is Midnight's Edge After Dark. She's done Josiah from Geeks and Gamers. She's done Ryan Kennel from Geeks and Gamers. And she's working on that. She's doing Abu Nas tomorrow night sometime.
Mhm.
You know, just wonderful people that I think everybody should check out. I don't have links or anything, or you know, all I got is the names.
Right.
Because I'm not that prepared for this.
Well, and that's totally fine. I think, you know, the Great Informer has been great in hooking me up with a couple of sites. Sandra Ann. So really, that's how Tony the Patriot. So he's got a great site for meeting other people. I mean, he does other stuff too. You know, he has a political show as well. But Blood X is another one. So I think a lot of the people that you're talking about are ones that people could find there. But Watchful Warrior, I just wanted to address. He said typing with a new elbow is challenging. I can imagine. He just had quite a recovery from a surgery, and that's. I hope you're feeling well. I mean, I hope it's just a mechanical kind of getting used to the new elbow versus a pain issue. Um, but yeah, typing with a new elbow is, I bet. Okay, so let me. We are coming up on 2 hours here in a minute, and I know that there are not in a minute, but in a few minutes. So I just wanted to kind of give just a little recap, and if anybody else wants to add in, we started talking about why we should care about politics. Do you care about politics? Why why you think you should, or why you shouldn't care about politics. I kind of gave my reasonings for why I think that politics do impact our daily lives. Why, and I will say politics and culture, and why politics. You're welcome. And why politics, is something we should pay attention to. You know, Sith Lord, I totally agree with you that it's not something that we really. It's just about social graces, right? I need to be understanding when other people don't want to be hit over the head with something, right? And maybe I can talk about it a little bit, but I need to know when to back off. And I need to know when to listen to something they're interested in talking about, it's really about social graces, and really it's about caring and loving other people, right? If I love you, if I care for you, and that's something I just believe that I should love people just in general, right? So if I
Right.
have care for you, then I should, absolutely, I'm going to be passionate about politics and I'm going to talk about it. But then I should, give time in the conversation, right? It's a conversation, it's a discussion, right? It's a friendship, it's a relationship. Those things only work when you're willing to put your side, yourself to the side a little bit sometimes, and give to someone else, and kind of give the platform to someone else. Robert Nazawa is saying politics shape our society. We should pay attention. So absolutely, yeah. I would agree with that. And keep typing in or chatting in if you'd like to. Because Watchful Warrior made the comment about typing with a new elbow. If he wants to pop in, he's more than welcome. I hate to have him.
Now, if I may make a suggestion.
Yes.
Now you can take this any way you want,
Okay.
but
I'm going to be offended. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm offended that you're offended.
Yeah. It's a vicious.
See, that's my response to that. I'm offended. Well,
Right.
really? That offends me. Right. But I know you have your own views. I know you have your own ideas for streaming and possible content, but might I add, if you can, don't stick just to the political side. Right. Stick to what you love. If you love politics, and by God, make all the political stuff that you want.
Right.
But if you like entertainment, if you like music, if you like art, if you like other things, make content on that. Do you do what you love.
Yeah. No, and you're right, and this is mainly political, only because I am really passionate about it.
And that's fine. That's fine.
There are other pieces. Like I've asked questions. I don't know. Maybe they're relational questions. Like we've talked about, what is a man? What is a real man? Because you hear that term, right? Real man, right? Well, what is a real man? If you say be a real man, or be a man, or man up, or whatever, what does that mean, right? If you say, or the idea of respect, right? Is we've talked about that before. Is respect given? Is it earned? Is it lost? Is it conditional? Those kinds of things. So I do. There's a lot of politics here because I love it, but I definitely culture, and I don't know what you would call that, like relational kind of stuff. I don't know if that's what you would call it, but yeah, and the emotional versus logical decision making, that's something again, you know, we used politics to talk about it, but boy, I think that is across the board. And just as a people, we need to be very careful to not react and not make decisions from an emotional place, because that really makes us vulnerable to being emotionally manipulated. So that's another little
Well,
piece.
to make it a little bit easier from a man's standpoint, man up, be a man. I can break it down and be as exact as I know how, or I can dumb it down. Either way, it's the same thing. No matter how you word it,
Mhm.
do the right thing. Always do the right thing. Doesn't matter if you've done something wrong. Here we go with the term: man up. Tell the truth. Do the right thing, because you will make it further in life if you just do what's right. If you make a mistake, own up to it. If you've got a responsibility, own up to it. If you've
Yeah.
got friends or family in need and you know you can help, do the right thing. You know, we're never going to make it as a society, man or woman, if we don't do the right thing. We'll never make it. We're going to die out, because every generation there's always a new argument, there's always a new problem, um, whether it be political, environmental, emotional. um, we're always going to have these problems, and we're never going to make it if we don't stick together as a people, ever.
Well, and like you were saying, you know, speaking truth, owning up to your own actions, personal responsibility. Um, absolutely, that's so important. We don't have anything to build off of if we don't do those things. Robert Nozawa is saying, yes, take responsibility of your life and of your actions, because you know, I mean, I recently, I mean, it's something I talk to my kids about, right? If you want to be someone who, um, you know, whether it's in marriage, friendship, a relationship between a boss or an employee, you know, in any relationship, if you can't be, you know, if you can't be held to your word, or if you're always trying to get out of something, you know, if you make a mistake, you know, people mess up. We're not perfect, but we're always trying to cover for that, right? Um, if we do that, then what is that going to do for that relationship that we're trying to have and we're trying to maintain or build? So no, I agree, and I like that, um, for lack of a better term, definition of what being a man is, right? So okay, so what I'm going to do in the last couple of minutes, what I've decided to start doing, I did this last night in my stream as well. I ended it with reading a little bit out of the Declaration of Independence. I am going to read just a portion, just a small portion, because the U.S. Constitution is huge. But I just want to take a little portion. And part of that is, you know, I tell my kids that if you don't know what is supposed to be, or what rights we are supposed to have, role government is supposed to play, then you don't know when to stand up. You don't know when to say no. You don't know when to say, whoa, wait a minute, you know. So it won't be very long, but I'm just going to read just a little portion here. And this is from, again, the U.S. Constitution, and it's section 3. And I'm going to bounce around a little bit because some of it's about age requirements and stuff like that, which aren't that huge of a deal. But Clause 1 says, the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. So that is how we are represented in the United States Senate. Okay, I'm going to skip Clause 2. and clause 3 just talks about their age. Clause 4, the vice president of the United States shall be president of the Senate. Okay, so when he's the vice president, that means he's the president of the Senate, which just means that he doesn't have a vote unless the Senate comes down 50-50, unless there's a tie. Then the vice president gets to be the breaking tie, or the tiebreaker, the breaking tie.
Mhm.
All right, let's see. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. Okay, this is nice for us to know right now. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. So ultimately, things can be inquired about in the House, but the actual trying of an impeachment is done in the Senate. And there has to be a 2/3 of the members present in order to be able to actually convict. Clause 7, judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to the removal of office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to the law. So when they convict in regard to impeachment, that means that they're able to impeach, and it really has to do with his role. But their impeachment does not say, "Oh, now we're going to put him in jail." Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm asking you, but I always ask that question. Am I explaining it the way it makes sense? So that's all I'm going to read from that right now. I mean, the Constitution is huge, and there's lots for us to learn from it. But that's a great little piece, especially now, especially with our discussion about impeachment, right?
Right.
It's good to go back and to know what it is that's required, or what the different roles of the House versus the Senate, where the Senate's role is when we're talking impeachment. So.
Right.
Thank you so much, Sith Lord. I love being able to actually have a conversation versus just talking to the stream, but to actually have a conversation about all of this. It's just where I'm more comfortable. So I appreciate you being willing to not only help me out with my technical difficulties and my lack of knowledge, but being able to just help feed
Of
conversation.
course.
So
I may not know much about. Listen, I know a little bit. Let's try that again. I know a little about everything, but I know a whole lot about nothing. So I'm.
mm-hmm.
You make it easier to understand. You make it easier to learn. Does it pique my interest? I'm gonna be honest, not really. But I'm not a political person. I'm really not. But you put it in a way to where it's easier to understand. And that I really do appreciate.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
And it's always a pleasure to come on and meet new people and meet new channels and people in chat. And I want to thank you for extending the invitation. I want to thank everybody in the chat for participating. That's just me. I'm a chat person. I've paid attention to large chats and the host not pay attention at all, really, if at all. And sometimes they won't even read anything unless it's a super chat. It's like, I'll talk to you if you pay me. So, I'm not about that. I like talking to people. I like being around people. And whatever the discussion, I'll try to fit in. If I can't fit in, well, I'll sit here and listen.
Well, for-
You know, I really appreciate it. I really do. And as far as the tech help, ain't nothing. You know, I don't know it all, but I know a little.
hey, it was more than I knew, so that's totally welcome and very much appreciated. So,
Yes, ma'am.
and as much as you know, are living under a rock, you know, in your words,
I poke my head out from time to time.
yes, you do, and you know, even if you're not political, so to speak, you're paying attention to what's going on in our culture and what's going on in society, and you know, culture and politics run into each other. They intersect in a lot of ways, and so so even if you don't necessarily have a big interest in politics, just your contribution regarding societal issues, culture, is huge. It was great for conversation, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So yes, absolutely. Well, I am gonna jump off of here, and this went longer than I normally would, but I appreciate everybody for joining, and again for you know, putting the links out for other people's channels and for visiting other people's channels. And we've got some friends, like I said, we've got some friends that are great, that weren't able to be here this early in the day. But we love them as well. And Front Yard Gardening with Robert Wallace, and The Bill Show, Bill MICH 123, I think, and KK, and Watchful Warrior was on here. Robert Nozawa, I know, is getting there. He's working out some technical difficulties, and he'll be getting through. And Headless Horseman, awesome guy. So just shout out to them again. And I don't know if you see it, but Robert Nozawa said, "Nice contribution today, Sith Lord.
Yeah.
Mahalo, bruh.
Mahalo.
Mahalo."
Mahalo.
In my
Mahalo,
class,
brah.
in my class, you'll think this is funny, Robert. In my class yesterday, we were laughing at the they were trying to, so we were doing, you know, like shaka bra kind of thing, and they were trying, one of them was trying to school me on Thursday. They were trying to school me on how relaxed I needed to be when I did a shaka bra, and apparently I was being too forceful in that. So it was goofy, but the truth, thank you. I really appreciate it, and love seeing you.
Yeah.
So,
The truth is everywhere.
and I just got to meet the truth, so I will
Yeah.
get to interact more now. But yes, I will chat with you all later. Thank you very much. Love you all.